Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, you cannot correct 120 months of neglect in 12 months. That's according to Member of Parliament for Mayaro, Nicholas Morris, who assured that his constituency has seen concrete results in just 1 year, pointing to new infrastructure, jobs, and expanded access to land. He said, yes, there are a number of issues outstanding, but you cannot correct 10 years of neglect in 12 months. You cannot correct 120 months of neglect in 12 months. Speaking at the launch of the Cocoa and Coffee Steering Committee in Rio Claro on Tuesday, Minister Morris laid out what he called proof of delivery after what he described as a decade of neglect. We all know that. We all saw it under the mighty Morphin Ghanaian PNM, even though the Kakash media and the PNM Patriots will deny it now. He noted that in the past year, development in the constituency has shifted from promise to results. My response is 100% correct, but PNM Patriots don't care about facts. They despise the yellows and will use any negative issues plaguing our nation to demonize the Kamla Persad administration. These same Balize Patriots denied that there was a crime crisis under the PNM and also claimed that our nation's economy was strong and even growing, even though small and medium-sized businesses were permanently closing their doors on a regular basis, especially after the 2020 lockdowns. They also gladly tightened their belts and weaned off the government for the sake of their country, when told to do so by Emperor Rowley and his merry men, but are now demanding to be given ham, lamb, and jam from the UNC in the shortest space of time possible. The truth doesn't matter to the PNM Patriots because tribalism is what rules their minds. People, never forget, Trinidad and Tobago isn't a PNM Patriots country, you know. The PNM party is their country. So when they talk about patriotism, they are patriotic to their party. Their party is also their God and also their ethnic group. So that's why when people speak against the PNM, they cry, they use the race card, and also they claim that you are unpatriotic. Where the patriotism gone, my dear PNM patriots? We're gone. It's definitely gone, and because they're demanding everything that Emperor Rowley and the PNM deprived you of for 10 long years.
Yes, there are a number of issues outstanding, but you cannot correct 10 years of neglect in 12 months. You cannot correct 120 months of neglect in 12 months.
Speaking at the launch of the Cocoa and Coffee Steering Committee in Rio Claro on Tuesday, Member of Parliament for Mayaro, Nicholas Morris, laid out what he called as proof of delivery after what he described as a decade of neglect. He noted that in the past year, development in the constituency has shifted from promises to results.
In 1 year, the Minister of Public Utilities has agreed to construct 2 tank farms and a desalination plant in Mayaro. In 1 year, the people of Mayaro received a new brand fire truck. In 1 year, we have started addressing beach safety by providing jet skis every long weekend to protect those who go to our beaches.
He added that long-neglected community facilities are finally receiving attention after years without adequate funding.
In 1 year, 19 grounds in this constituency has received new lights, and 4 are up for total refurbishment from Sport TT. In 1 year, we have started to address the infrastructural decay in this constituency.
The Mayaro MP revealed that fixing infrastructural decay is in the works.
That they are fixing the landslip in Bangladesh, and that they are going to fix the Cheruma road, which has collapsed. In 1 year, we have started to fix the infrastructural decay. In 1 year in the Mayaro constituency, we received our own hub for the landless. So people in Mayaro, Rio Claro, and Beach didn't have to go to Port of Spain. You could have gone right to the BP Resource Center to apply to become owners of land.
MP Morris also thanked Agriculture Minister Ravi Ratiram for 3 access roads that he promised to help construct in the area. Sonolala, TTT News.
An air service agreement with Chile was recently negotiated under Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Eli Zakur. This was announced by Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Sean Sobers, during his contribution to the partial scope trade agreement bill between Trinidad and Tobago and the Republic of Chile in the Senate on Tuesday. Minister Sobers said Trinidad and Tobago can expect more air services agreements with other countries in the near future. Good news, progress, development taking place under the Kamla Prasad administration. They're not perfect. They have made some errors, some significant errors as well, like in doubling the fines and fees and introducing the landlord tax and stuff like that. I will never agree with that. And also using the P&M strategy of a SOE to control crime. And they're seeing now that crime is still out of control. Nevertheless, they're doing they're doing a much better job than the P&M.
He is not a boastful person at all. He's quite humble. So I will do the boasting on his behalf because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is partially involved in some of the work that he leads. And you will see in the very near future that there will be air services agreements with Panama, air services agreements with Argentina, air services agreements with the Dominican Republic. And all of these are a collective cabinet responsibility, but they have been led strongly by Minister Zakur.
Weather report for Wednesday, April 22nd, Trinidad and Tobago. Wednesday, April 22nd in Trinidad and Tobago is expected to be sunny and hazy with isolated afternoon showers. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service notes that mild to moderate concentrations of Saharan dust are present and sensitive persons should take necessary precautions. Daily weather summary. Daytime, expect hot and sunny conditions though hazy skies will persist. There is a medium chance of isolated showers, especially in western areas of Trinidad. Nighttime, conditions will be fair to partly cloudy but remain hazy. Temperatures, daytime highs are expected to reach 31 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius, while nighttime lows will dip to 23 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. Winds, northeast to east at 5 to 30 kilometers per hour. Seas, slight to moderate with waves up to 1.5 meters in open waters and below 1.0 meters in sheltered areas.
Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, has made it clear that the People's Progressive Party Civic will lead Georgetown to progress and prosperity and transform the capital city into its glory. The head of state made this known while speaking at the commissioning ceremony of the Aubrey-Barker 4-lane road, during which he stated that he is interested in seeing strong leadership for the city under the Irfan Ali administration. That is what he focuses on. Even though he just won the elections, he could have just said, well, you know what? I already win. I don't need to keep no promises. No, that's not what he's doing. He genuinely has a heart and desires. He desires to serve the people and develop his nation, carry his nation forward, closer and closer to first world status. It's going to take a long time, but they're on the right path. The Jamaica Environment Trust is urging the government to reconsider its approach to oil and gas exploration amid recent positive updates from the United Oil and Gas regarding the prospect of oil offshore Jamaica. You can imagine that. You have a problem with it, you know, people. In a media release acknowledging the upcoming observance of Earth Day on Wednesday under the theme, Our Power, Our Planet, JET said it is concerned that continued interest in fossil fuel investments undermines the power this theme calls us to exercise the responsibility to protect our planet and to build better lives for our people in line with Jamaica's climate realities and global obligations. My response, what utter Green New Deal, far-left radical Democrat nonsense is this being spewed in the public domain? Why must Jamaica be deprived of the opportunity to significantly increase foreign revenue via the oil industry? You can take care and protect your environment while also utilizing these resources to enrich your country, my dear people. Guyana is doing it. Even America is doing it. Guyana is now becoming one of the fastest growing economies in our region since they began to export oil and has been using that increased wealth to diversify the economy and invest in infrastructure development. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, if they find oil in your country, let them drill, baby, drill. I'm telling you, that's what needs to be done. Stop allowing these professors and these other individuals from these other organizations to tell you to deprive your country of becoming a prosperous nation, or because of their climate issues. Boy, you need to use moderation. Do everything in moderation so that you will not be polluting the environment either. But you need to utilize these resources because it's definitely going to generate a whole lot more revenue than you're generating at this point in time. Barbados Minister of Transport and Works Kirk Humphrey has reaffirmed that under the Motley administration, senior citizens will maintain their right to free travel on all transport board buses. That is wonderful news. Speaking on the government's social policy, Humphrey emphasized that this benefit is a non-negotiable pillar of their commitment to elderly welfare, ensuring that senior citizens can remain mobile and active without the financial burden. By explicitly stating that no senior will ever be required to pay a fare, the administration aims to provide long-term security for the aging population while reinforcing the public transport system as a vital, accessible service for all Barbadians. I'm telling you, Mia Motley, I don't agree with how she sounds like a globalist. I will say it over and over again. I don't like how she sounds like a globalist. I don't like how she basically kind of sympathizes with the communists in our region. At least I don't really hear much about her when it pertains to this issue. But it seems as though she is. She never came out and stood up for Prime Minister Kamala Persad, so that's why I'm assuming that. But when it pertains to governing her country, she seems as though she's doing quite a good job. The Bahamas Red Cross has issued an urgent appeal for increased public and corporate donations to bolster its humanitarian relief efforts and community outreach programs across the archipelago. The organization highlighted a growing demand for its essential services, including Meals on Wheels and disaster preparedness initiatives, which rely heavily on consistent financial and in-kind support to remain sustainable. By calling for renewed contributions, the Red Cross aims to close funding gaps and ensure it has necessary resources to respond swiftly to emergencies while continuing to support the country's most vulnerable populations. Sounds good, eh? But when you hear about certain things that the Red Cross has done in Middle East, like in Gaza and stuff like that, basically almost being an ally to the Hamas to an extent, begs the question how genuine. But you don't know, it's an international organization, and most likely probably their agendas in the Middle East wouldn't be the same like here in the Caribbean.
As far as the unsolicited donations, we are still far behind this year, even more so than in previous years. And so for that reason, we generally appeal to let people know that we are still here, we're still a major player, and the things that we do, the people that we reach are so important that we do need them to remember us. We're here on John F. Kennedy Drive, generally here for business or business hours, and we are accepting, and we still do accept donations. Now, there are different types of donations, like I said before. Some people donate goods, like organizations. They may have canned food drives or food drives, and even schools, they have drives and they consider us. And so those are other ways that we are able to subsidize our program.
International news now. A federal appeals court has upheld a Texas law requiring public schools across the state to display the 10 Commandments. Wonderful news. A major victory for religious freedom advocates who have long argued the biblical text is intertwined with America's legal, moral, and historical heritage. That's a fact, people. A lot of the laws are based on the 10 Commandments, even here in Trinidad and Tobago. So when the liberals want to talk about separation of church and state, they're talking utter nonsense. Western civilization was built upon biblical values. In a 9-8 ruling, the 17-member Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals held that Senate Bill 10, the law passed by Texas Republican-led legislature, does not violate either the Constitution's Establishment Clause or the Free Exercise Clause. Once again, beautiful news coming out there from America. And of course, it's the Republicans are the ones who are always trying to restrain evil and lawlessness and maintain some type of level of biblical values in their government, which is definitely needed. In a significant step toward regional stability, President Trump has authorized an extension of the ceasefire with Iran to allow diplomatic efforts via Pakistani mediators more time to reach a permanent solution. While active hostilities remain paused, the United States continues its strategic naval blockade to ensure regional security and maintain economic leverage during negotiations. This period of de-escalation offers a vital window for humanitarian considerations and international dialogue, reflecting a commitment to resolving the conflict through high-level diplomacy. As global markets monitor these developments, the focus remains on achieving a secure, peaceful, and predictable environment, international commerce, and regional cooperation. Of course, that's what even the Republicans are believing. Some Republicans are believing at this point in time, and the Trump administration. The reality is you cannot negotiate with terrorists. The IRGC, as Amir Safati said, is even more radical than the former leaders of the Ayatollah regime who pretended to be moderate, which they weren't, of course. They will never actually agree to any sort of agreements made by the Trump administration. They will pretend to, and they will continue just to delay everything. Every time they will go to the meetings and say, no, we are not going to agree with that. And then Trump will say, well, okay, we will go back to war, but he's going to give them more time to go back to do another. And so he did it for about what? More than 6 months now. Trump, for some reason, never finishes a job. And that's one issue I have with him. He starts a wonderful job, just like the job he started in Venezuela. And then he just gets, I don't know, his cold feet or whatever. And then he just stops. Started a very good job in Iran now. And his excuse is he doesn't want to end up destroying the whole of Iran. That wasn't going to happen. All you had to do was continue targeting the Ayatollah and the IRG infrastructure. And at some point in time, they would have surrendered. Using diplomacy is never going to work with terrorists. You cannot negotiate with terrorists. It just ain't going to ever be something that is successful.
Interesting facts and inspirational true stories. In Pakret, Thailand, 15-year-old Ben Yafa Thanakran Monporn is balancing school, caregiving, and survival at once by day. She's a strong grade 9 student with a 3.75 GPA. By night, she collects plastic bottles to help support her family. Her father has been paralyzed for over 16 years, and she helps care for him daily while her mother works as a cleaner to cover basic expenses. She earns very little but carries on without shame, seeing it not as sacrifice but responsibility. Her story is a powerful reminder of what real strength looks like. Welcome to Real Conservative. Headline News Travel Adventures. Located in the north region of Cameroon near the village of Guider, the gorges de Kola stand as a striking architectural masterpiece of nature. This canyon, stretching for several hundred meters, is defined by its smooth, sculpted rock formations carved by the waters of the Mayo Laudi. The rocks, ranging in color from deep grays to soft beiges, feature rounded curves and hollowed chambers that create a labyrinth-like atmosphere, offering a stark and beautiful contrast to the surrounding Sahelian landscape. The gorge is most impressive during the dry season when the water levels recede, allowing visitors to walk deep into the canyon bed to admire the intricate patterns worn into the stone walls. The narrowest points of the gorge provide a cool, shaded sanctuary from the northern heat, with sunlight filtering down to illuminate the polished surfaces of the rock. During the rainy season, the site transforms as the river swells, filling the canyon with a powerful rush of water that continues to shape the landscape. For travelers, the gorges de Kola offer a unique opportunity for exploration and photography. Local guides often share stories of the area's significance while helping visitors navigate the various levels of the rock formations. Easily accessible from the city of Garawa, the canyon remains one of the most distinct geological landmarks in Central Africa, drawing those who wish to see the artistic power of water carved into the Earth's surface. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues. Bible quote of the day. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 1 to verse 5. But now, this is what the Lord says, He who created you, Jacob, He who formed you, Israel, do not fear, for I have redeemed you, I have summoned you by name, you are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, the flames will not set you ablaze. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I give Egypt for your ransom, Cush and Seba in your stead. Since you are precious and honored in my sight, and because I love you, I will give nations in exchange for your life and peoples in exchange for your soul. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.